Just to begin, Doug, tell us about your beginnings in music. You were born into a musical family?
Yeah, my mom and dad they both played music, and actually the whole family did. My dad had all kinds of instruments around the house, and we played all the old time tunes. We learned to play a lot from my mom and dad. My dad played the fiddle. He was from Tennessee, and he had all the instruments available for us to play if we wanted to.
Was the banjo always your first instrument of choice?
That was it. I loved the banjo ever since I saw. I remember seeing Uncle Dave making one when I was a year old.
Wow.
And I was really impressed, and that stuck in my memory, and that's what really got me into it,
Did you model your style of playing on anybody in particular?
Well, not really. I guess more or less a combination. Mostly because I started playing banjo before I ever heard any of the other style, three-finger style picking.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually started out with a thumb and a finger.
Oh, really?
Until I heard Earl Scruggs on the radio one day with Flat and Scruggs, and I thought, how in the world does he get that sound? That was when I discovered finger picks, And but yes, I was influenced by Earl Scruggs and of course Don Reno and all the other banjo players at the time that I could hear, that I could get records of.
I believe as a teenager you went out of your way to make yourself known to Earl Scruggs.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my mom and dad took me up to his door and he installed the Scruggs tuners on my banjo. And that was a thrill for me, getting to meet him. And he let me play his banjo, and we got along real good.
Do you have a vivid memory of your first show as the Dillards, which I think found CD release a few years ago, that first show? There seems to be a wonderful atmosphere and energy in the room that night.
Which show was that?
Your first show as the Dillards.
Oh, I can't remember. That was in Washington University, I guess. When we first did our first concert as the Dillards.
Yeah, that's the one that got released on CD a few years ago, isn't it?
Yeah. Recently. Yeah, that's the one.
What prompted you in those early years to make the move to California, which I guess wasn't considered a capital of country and bluegrass music at the time?
Well, that's why we went to California. It's because we knew there weren't a lot of bluegrass bands out in that area. And we thought, since folk movement was happening then, we thought we might fit into that. So that was one of our reasons. We didn't go to Nashville because it seemed like there was a lot of competition here for bluegrass.
Uh-huh.
They already had Bill Monroe and Flat and Scruggs,
Were you surprised by the scene you found when you got to California? Was there more country and bluegrass that you expected?
Well, there was a lot of people that that are down to earth people, of course, like Andy Griffith's people. He's a country type person, and doing their show was it was like a family.
Mm. How did all that come together? How did you get involved in the Andy Griffith show?
Well, an A&R man for Elektra Records saw us sitting in a place called the Ash Grove in Hollywood. The first night we got out there, we went back and we sat in with the Greenbrier boys, and they got us on stage. And there was a guy from Elektra Records there. He said, "Hey, you guys want to do a record?" And we said, "Well, of course. The guy from Elektra. So that's how we got to do those. And then the very next week, the Andy Griffith people read an article about Elektra signing an authentic bluegrass group from the Ozarks. So the Andy Griffith people wanted to see us. And we went down, and we didn't even get through one number. And Andy says, well, that's it. When Rodney and I thought, well, that's it. They're getting rid of us. But no, that's it. That's exactly what they were looking for. Same image, I guess.
Yeah.
Dumb-looking hillbillies.
The exposure you got through that television show must have done wonders for the group's profile. Why,
I guess it's probably one of the most rewarding things that we've ever done in our life. Was the Andy Griffith Show, because that gave us more promotion in more areas than just, straight bluegrass would. And we were very lucky in that respect.
Look back to the time when you left the Dillards. Was it a matter of you wanting to explore different musical territory that you felt you couldn't do within the confines of the group?
Well, it was our record producer at the time. He was trying to get me to play his banjo and play his version of what I should be playing on the banjo. And I decided to go on and with Gene and do some other things anyway. So that's how that happened. And both Roddy and I did expand on the music, which was great.
Now, the group continued on without you, and they took a slightly different musical direction themselves at the time. Did you remain a fan of what the Dillards were doing when you weren't there?
Why, of course. Yeah. I thought they did some beautiful things. Yes. The Copperfields and the Wheat Straw Suite were really great.
Yeah. Tell us about working with Gene Clark. I always felt he was somewhat underrated and never really given his due credit. What was he like to work with?
Oh, Gene Clark was wonderful. He could write a song in a minute, and not even take the pencil from the paper. He was that quick. It just came to him out of the air. And he was really an incredible person. Very down to earth and very giving.
You must take a bit of pride now looking back on those albums you did with Gene, because they probably paved the way for some of the country rock outfits that emerged in later years after that.
Yeah, I guess we have been sort of branded as the forerunners of country rock, so to speak. We were right in the beginning of it, and which was good. And we could have probably continued on, but Gene wanted to go off his direction.
Yeah.
And so I decided to just go, do my band for a while, that I put together, and then with Byron Berline and all of them. And then decided to go back with the Dillards again on a tour, a reunion tour, and then we decided to stay together again. And then Mitch and Dean separated from Roddy and I, I guess our last gig was with Carnegie Hall, when we played Carnegie Hall with Arlo Guthrie and Pete Seeger.
Over the years also you've done a lot of session work playing on records for other artists. Any personal favourites there?
Oh my goodness, the list of people that I have recorded with is incredible. And first off, I played on the hit, Gentleman of Mine, for Glenn Campbell, and that happened to be John Hartford's song, which was ironic because he and I grew up together.
Oh, really?
Learning how to play banjos together. Yeah.
motion picture soundtracks are something you've also done quite a bit of over the years, Bonnie and Clyde being one which springs to mind. How do you approach a movie soundtrack? Do you go about it a different way to just regular songwriting?
Well, what they did in those days, they didn't even give me sheet music. They gave me the chord changes and let me play what I felt around a movie track.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you had to play with a click track, which, makes sure you're on time, but that's a little bit sterile. I'd rather hear the band, as they do. So I worked with one earphone. But, as far as the people that I've played with, Arlo Guthrie. I recorded with the Monkees. Played with the Byrds. Got Hoyt Axton and Johnny Cash and Vassar Clements, Harry Nilsson, Linda Ronstadt, K-Star, and John Hartford. And there's a whole bunch.
That's a very impressive list. Do you still find yourself learning things about your instrument after all these years?
What was that question again?
After all these years playing the banjo, do you still find yourself learning things about the instrument?
Well, of course. You always learn how to play something different, and play a different kind of a song. Do practice different licks, different rolls on different things. That's how you learn to play different songs.
Yeah. And what's coming up for you this year, and what are the upcoming plans?
Well, we're going out on I don't have all the dates together in my head right now, but we're going out as the Dillards, Rodney and I, and George Giddens from North Carolina plays fiddle and mandolin. And Pete Lortz plays bass. He's from North Carolina also. He's a real great bass player. So we got a 4-piece group, that with a fiddle that changes over to mandolin when we need it, which is good. And we're going out on tour towards the end of this month, actually. I think around the 26th, we're going to Wichita and somewhere in Nebraska, back down through Dallas and back to Tennessee. But I think I understand we're probably going out to California this summer again. Who knows where we might go? I never get a week's notice sometimes.
They still keep them very busy, though.
Yeah, busy enough, that's for sure.
How would you?
How's things with you down under?
Oh, pretty good. A bit of a dry spell down here at the moment. We're in the middle of a bad drought, which is a bit of a worry.
That's not good.
No, not good at all. How would you like to see the Dillards remembered?
Well, I want to see the Dillards remembered as a group that brought something to the world, that influenced them in their liking for music in any way. And that's about it. I just wanted to leave a good impression musically.
I don't think there's any doubt that will happen. If a young musician was coming up to you now, just starting out, and was looking for some career advice, what would be the one thing you'd made sure you told them?
He's looking for a career?
Oh, looking for some career advice in music.
Well, I'd tell him to practice a lot.
Yeah. Just keep on practicing.
Yeah, you need to practice a lot. That's the main key.
Yeah. Doug, thanks so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure to catch up with you. Great to hear the Dillards are still going strong.
Well, thank you very much for your interest in the Dillards. I'm sure glad you like what we do, buddy.
We certainly do.
And we bless you here from the United States, all right?
Thanks so much. We hope maybe one day we'll still get to see the Dillards down here in Australia. That would be fantastic.
I would love it. God bless you, and you take care of yourself.
All the best, Doug. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.